All right. Well, thank you for being here for our city council meeting Tuesday, June 16th, 2020. And we apologize. We're starting about 45 minutes late due to other meetings, our RDA and council committee of the whole. And so we'll begin. Everyone's here. I'll start with our introduction. Welcome to the Murray City Council meeting. Thank you for your patience as we completed the previous discussion. If you have just joined us, did I read this right? Yeah. If you've just joined us, or if you've been before, you'll notice we've read this several times today. Because of the current health pandemic, and in order to comply with the governor's directive to stay safe, stay home, and the public health order issued by the county health department and county mayor, we have determined that an in-person meeting, including attendance by the public and the council, is not practical or prudent. Therefore, this meeting is being held remotely through electronic means. Each person is participating from a separate location. We are totally dependent upon the internet and technology to broadcast this meeting and to ensure that the public has an opportunity to view the proceedings. However, there could be a malfunction that is totally out of our control. Even though we don't expect any issues, we just want to make sure that you're aware of that possibility. If you would like to submit citizen comments or public hearing comments, please email to city.council@murray.utah.gov. Once again, that is city.council@murray.utah.gov. They should be less than 3 minutes or less. Include your name and contact information, and they will be read on the record, into the record. All council members are present. Welcome, Mayor, welcome. And we will begin. I've asked Doug Hill, our Deputy Mayor, if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. He'll just do that himself.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate you doing that for us. Our first order of business is approval of our previous meeting from June 2nd, 2020. Are there any questions or corrections or discussion on that? If not, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll move we approve the minutes from the council meeting June 2nd, 2020.
I'll second.
Thank you, Kat and Diane. Jennifer.
Ms. Martinez.
Aye.
Mr. Cox.
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez.
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye.
Mr. House.
Aye. Thank you, Jennifer. We will move on to the consent agenda. I'll turn the time over to the mayor after I read these.
Brad?
Consent agenda. Yes.
I have a citizen comment that came in this afternoon. Do you mind if I read that?
Yeah. Hey, that's what I've been doing today, missing some of that stuff. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is from Lori Hagland, who lives on Vine Street. There seems to be a perception that only a few residents living right on Vine Street even care about the planned Vine Street widening project. Only a few residents living on Vine Street were even notified of the open house where the project was discussed. And admittedly, only a few persistent residents have been present and shared opinions at city council meetings. Nearly everyone can agree that Vine Street needs the completion of curb and gutters with sidewalks, and we are asking that a modified limited plan be considered. Mature trees and landscape provide character and shade in the area, reducing the amount of water needed to preserve surrounding landscaped areas and reducing the amount of energy required to heat and air condition surrounding homes. Removal of those large trees will increase the use of water and energy. resulting in additional costs to homeowners and negative impact to the carbon footprint. The area is zoned R110, and city code requires that homes be set back 25 feet from the sidewalk. The city's forced acquisition of property from homeowners will create numerous non-compliant homes. A petition at signthevine.com has 875 signatures today, evidence that more than just a few who live right on Vine Street care about the impacts of this project. Just as compelling are the associated comments. We ask that you consider the opinions of your constituents who are most impacted by this plan, and that you use your influence to intervene and mitigate damage to the charming spot, the personal and financial impacts to homeowners, and the negative impacts to our carbon footprint. And just like to note that there were 2 petitions attached. They were both emailed to all council members today, so you're aware of the signatures and comments that were made and how widespread they actually were. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan, and thank you, Lori, for your comment. Okay, we'll now move on to the consent agenda. There's 5. Consider confirmation of the mayor's appointment of is it Mayor Liddell? Little, thank you, to the library board for a 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2023. Number 2, consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Bob Dunn to the Personnel Advisory Board for a term to expire June 30th, 2022. Consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Danny Meekum to the Personnel Advisory Board for a 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2023. Consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Mike Romero to the Personnel Advisory Board for a 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2023. And consider confirmation of the mayor's reappointment of Dr. Janice Evans to the Shade Tree Commission for a 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2023. Mayor Camp.
Okay, thank you. We have 2 openings on the library board with the terms of Pepper Pearson and Tracy Black expiring. We have 1 proposed appointment tonight, and we'll have the other at the next meeting on July 7th. And that is, as you mentioned, Allie Little to be appointed for a term from July 2020 to July of 2023 as a member of the library board. You have her resume in your packet, which is quite diverse. But probably the most important part of it is that at least to Kim Fong is that Allie spends a lot of time in the library, and certainly we appreciate that. Next, as you mentioned, we have the reappointment of Bob Dunn to the Personnel Advisory Board for his 2nd term. I want to mention, though, that Bob should have been reappointed last year, but we missed it due to an error. So we're asking you to ratify his appointment. It'll be from June of 2019 to June of 2022. And then Denny Meekum for his 2nd term, June of 2020 to 2023. And as you mentioned, Mike Romero. This will be Mike's first full term that will go from June 2020 to 2023, because Mike had been appointed to complete the term that was vacated by Richard Hutchison. And then finally, we have the reappointment of Dr. Jan Evans to the Shade Tree Commission for another term, beginning from June 30th, 2020 to 2023. And Dr. Evans has been a great asset to the Shade Tree Commission. I recognize that's not a shade tree behind her, it's a Christmas tree, but that's because the Shade Tree Commission does a lot of work with our tree lighting ceremony. But anyway, we really appreciate these individuals for their willingness to serve on these boards, and we ask for your approval of the consent agenda this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. And with the ratifying of Bob Dunn from last June 2019 to June 2022, with that correction, do we have any questions for the mayor, or discussion, or just the motion?
Brett, I'll
Yes.
make you want to take it all together, the consent? Okay. I move to adopt the consent agenda as stated, also with the change that you mentioned before.
I'll second.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Diane and Dale, thank you. Okay, Jennifer, please.
Ms. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Cox,
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. House.
Aye. Okay, thank you, Mayor, and again, thank you, Jennifer. Awesome people, and we appreciate the service of our citizens on these boards. Our first public hearing is continued from June 2nd, 2020, our last council meeting. Consider an ordinance adopting the final 2020-2021 fiscal year budgets for Murray City, including the library fund budget. Diane Turner and Brenda Moore presenting.
Thank you, Brett. I will start out and just basically explain the council's process. So the Murray City Council received the mayor's tentative budget on April 21st, 2020. The City Council studied the budget documents and met with administration and department directors on May 11th, May 12th, and May 15th, making adjustments and revisions according to their authority and responsibility under the Utah State Code. Based on the worldwide outbreak of COVID-19, the City Council has found itself in unprecedented times of uncertainty going forward into the new fiscal year. During the third quarter of 2020, the economy of the country shut down in an attempt to slow the spread of COVID-19. Record numbers of individuals are currently unemployed, and as the economy reopens, unknown decreases in the revenue streams of the city are expected. The Murray City Council has chosen to take a cautious approach to the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget by examining each revenue item and expenditure to make conservative, deliberate, and thoughtful decisions on behalf of the residents and businesses of the city. The City Council has taken the following steps. 1, to budget sparingly at the onset of the fiscal year, respecting the unknowns of the economy. The council requested department directors to A, decrease general fund expenditure budgets by an additional 4% overall. B, to remove travel and training funding that was not essential to maintain required certifications and license renewals. And C, to scrutinize overtime budgets for possible reductions. Number 2, municipalities are service-based organizations where employees are the core of service delivery and primary to maintaining optimal quality of life. The council recognizes the experience, the knowledge, and expertise of its city employees and their dedication to excellence, and has funded the citywide compensation increases in the city step plan at an expense of approximately $439,000. Number 3, preserve the stability of city finances by maintaining general fund reserves at 7.9% with the intent to restore to 25% as revenue increases to acceptable levels. The fiscal year 2021 budget utilizes nearly $3 million of the general fund reserves to compensate for an anticipated decrease in revenue. Number one, the budget is based on revenue projections that decrease by 10% overall, including sales tax revenues that decrease by 15%. Number two, property tax is anticipated to grow slightly with new construction. However, there is no property tax increase to residents and businesses this year. Number three, it is the intent of the council to review these revenues monthly to react to actual receipts as necessary. Operation expenses. Operational budgets have been decreased by 11% overall. Public safety. The council feels strongly that city public safety personnel are best able to provide the level of service essential for city residents and businesses. It is the intent of the council to support adequate staffing, equipment, and funding for city public safety departments to maintain a high level of service. Capital Improvement Program, also called the CIP. The CIP has prioritized projects based on a reduction in revenues available. Funding of $3.7 million has been designated in the budget, which is a sizable decrease from the current year budget of $8.76 million. These funds are allocated for vehicle and equipment replacement, parks and recreation, facility and road maintenance. Number two, under CIP. Capital project funding is also included in the budgets for the Power Fund, Stormwater Fund, Water Fund, Wastewater Fund, and the Central Garage Fund. Clean energy vehicles. It is the intent of the council to proactively support environmentally responsible contributions to clean air. In vehicle purchases, city employees are strongly encouraged to investigate alternative fuel engines that contribute lower amounts of particulate pollution into the air. The council has included carryover funds of about $28,000 in the CIP Vehicle and Equipment Fund to be used for the additional costs of purchasing alternative fuel vehicles. It is the council's intent to increase this fund when the budget allows. New City Hall Civic Center. The council supports the construction of a new city hall and believes a new city hall is necessary given the condition of the existing city hall. If the new city hall is ready to begin construction in fiscal year 2021, it is the intent of the council to consider a budget amendment to provide for expenditure of bond funds for the construction of the new city hall. The entire Murray City budget document is available on the city website, providing details of the general fund, the enterprise funds, and the library fund. Okay, that's what I've got. Brenda, do you want to take it from here?
I really have nothing left to present. I have presented it all before. The only change I made from the document that is on the website is we have added the growth that is estimated from the county assessor's office of $29,523 for the city into the non-departmental miscellaneous expense, and $28,220 for the library into the reserve buildup on their budget. They're just going to put it into their reserves. And that's all I've changed since the last time, or the document that's sitting up on the website. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Brenda. Before we have the, well, let's open it up for public comments. Jan, are there any public comments?
No, I haven't received any.
Okay, thank you. We'll bring it back to the council. Any questions regarding this budget? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve an ordinance adopting the final 2020-2021 fiscal year budget for Murray City, including the library fund budget.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Ms. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Cox,
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. House.
Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you for the report on that. Okay, next, consider an ordinance amending the city's fiscal year 2019-2020 budget. Brenda.
Okay, I have no formal presentation. I'll just go over what's on this budget amendment one more time for the public who may be listening. There is, the police department has received a grant from the Justice Department for $112,282. This amendment will allow them to spend that grant money. I believe they're going to do it as a reimbursement grant. We will make the expenses and then apply for reimbursement. Usually takes about 3 days after I apply for the reimbursement to get our money into our bank account. The fire department received $5,580 from the Utah Department of Health as an EMS grant. So this just puts this into the budget. The State of Utah Library Division passed some CARES Act money down to the library, $2,045 for supplies and equipment purchases related to the coronavirus. And they've been using that for cleaning supplies and various other things that they have had to do as they have been closed and getting ready to reopen. There is the budget for the fire station, new fire station 81, the beautiful building on the corner of 48th and Box Elder. Chief Harris tried his darndest, but he could not keep it below budget. So we are requesting $390,000 be added to the fire station budget from capital projects reserves. This includes change order costs that we are still negotiating, and hopefully we'll actually use less of this and put it back into reserves. And I believe I added the water bond funds. We had previously been awarded bond dollars to do some water projects, and we needed this added. Finally got the final draw of $5.4 to $5.5 million from the state water board. And so that money has been put into our bank account, and I need this budget amendment allows the water department to actually spend those funds, which if you have looked out on State Street recently, you can see what they're doing with those funds. They're using it to do the State Street project and the two wells, the well in the park and the well on 4500 South. So those dollars are being spent very quickly and I think very efficiently. Traffic isn't even that bad on State Street right now. So Anyway, that's the budget opening that I have before you. And that's it.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Brenda. Any questions? Well, let's open it up for public comment. Any public comments on that, Jan?
No, I haven't received any.
Thank you, Jan. Any questions? Let's bring it back to the council for questions for Brenda or our motion.
Okay, Brett, I'll make a motion. I will move to adopt the ordinance amending the city's fiscal year 2019-2020 budget.
Go ahead and second that.
Thank you very much. Okay, Jennifer.
Ms. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Cox,
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Held.
Aye. Thank you, Brenda, for that report. We'll now move on to business items. Our first is consider an ordinance adopting the rate of tax levies for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2020 and ending June 30th, 2021. Brenda Moore presenting.
Okay, I have just one slide to show you on this. That one. Oh, crap. Okay, so the tax rate levy is calculated by the county assessor's office. Because we are not doing a property tax increase and property values have been going up in Murray City, the tax rate has declined. So the fiscal year 2021 tax rate is lower than it was in fiscal year 2020. Now, an individual's personal amount of property tax they pay on their individual house may go up or down based on whether their value of their house has gone up or down in comparison with all their neighbors in the city. The city itself will receive the same amount of funds as they were allocated last year, except for new property growth. So we have some new developments within the city, and we also have some buildings that came online. So the assessor has said that we will get $109,000 of new property growth for the city, 80,000 of which I had already budgeted into the budget. So that is why we changed it, 29,523. And the library will receive 28,220 in growth. So those are the tax levies. They did go down as they were expected to because we have not done a truth in taxation.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. Any questions for Brenda on this? Then we would ask for a motion.
Who's going to do it?
All right. I will move that we adopt the ordinance or approve the ordinance adopting the rate of tax levies for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2020 and ending June 30th, 2021.
I'll second.
Jennifer, thank you. Jennifer.
Ms. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Cox,
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Held.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Next, we have consider resolution authorizing Murray City pickup of public safety and firefighter employee retirement contributions. Robin Colton, our HR director. Robin.
Thank you. So as we discussed previously in Committee of the Whole, recent legislation passed to provide enhancements to Tier 2 retirement pensions for public safety and firefighter. With these enhancements, the cost of the plan went up, passed along 14% of the contribution to be covered by the employer. and 2.27% to be covered by the employee. However, the option was given that the employer could opt to pick up the employee portion of the retirement contributions. So we're proposing to pick up the employee portion of the contribution and ask for your approval.
Thank you, Robin. Any questions for Robin on this? Seeing none, if we get a motion on that then, please.
I'll make a motion to approve a resolution authorizing Murray City to pick up the public safety and firefighter employer retirement contributions.
I'll second.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Ms. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Cox,
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez, Ms. Dominguez,
Sorry, aye.
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. House.
Aye. Thank you again, Jennifer. Okay, next, consider a resolution approving the Murray City investment policy. Wendell Coombs, welcome, Wendell.
Hi there. Tonight, we'd just like to have you consider a resolution to approve the Murray City investment policy. As I had mentioned in the committee of the whole on the 2nd of June, that it had been 2006 was the last time that we presented the investment policy. And since we have all new members of the council, we thought it was a good time to review the policy with you and also to bring it up to date with any changes in the state code. As you recall, our policy really is multifaceted. One is it's the desire and requirement that as we look at the investments, that first we look at safety of principal, then we're looking at liquidity, and rate of return is the third component of that. The policy goes through, it identifies the various funds that we have under its requirements. Again, our objective is to maintain the principle that we have. We have that fiduciary responsibility to safeguard the assets of our city and the citizens that have contributed to that. We need to maintain liquidity. You know, there's daily needs to pay bills and to fund various projects. And then the yield that we receive on that is secondary to those other two items in which we want to get a reasonable rate of return, but that's not our primary focus. The delegation of the authority is to the treasurer and the finance director on doing the day-to-day management of that. We talk about the conflicts of interest that we look at, and then it also breaks it down on, as far as the authorized investments. One of the things that I thought might be interesting to the council tonight that is how we've gone about in investing these funds. We basically look at a three-tier approach. Our daily needs for covering checks and that we have on deposit with Zions Bank. That money each night is swept into a money market account, earning us a small amount of interest. Diane, at one point you mentioned that what a repo was. Well, repos are used a lot in this overnight investing of money. The banks themselves go out and they'll take this deposit and they'll go out on the marketplace, invest it overnight, and then the funds will come back in the next day. Because of the short-term nature of that, as you may have heard, you know, the Federal Reserve lowered their interest rates to 0.25%. 1% of interest is 100 basis points. So basically 25 basis points is what the Fed reserved that down. And so the banks have to, you know, get their cut. So we're getting about 10 basis points on our overnight funds held at the bank. And a lot of that goes to cover the expenses of banking. Second to that is we use the Public Treasurer's Investment Fund managed by the state. That has a little bit longer maturity in that. Typically, it's rolling over about every 90 days. Currently, we have about, at the end of May, we had $52,317,000 invested there. And the rate of return that we were getting at the end of May was 1.17%. So about 117 basis points. As of Monday, we had 49 million in that account. As you can see, we draw down to cover payroll and other items. The third tier of our investment approach, we went outside and hired an outside investment manager, Morton Asset Management, to manage a portion of our funds to be a little bit longer term in the approach for money that we're going to use longer down the road. And that's part of the reason for the redrafting of our investment policy, was to allow some of the investments the state has approved that weren't in there previously, like negotiated brokered CDs that are negotiable, that can be traded on a day-to-day basis. We started out about in 2014, giving them $12 million to invest for us. And then last year, we gave them another $6 million, bringing up about $18 million that they have under management. As of the end of May, that had grown to $19,657,000. By investing with them, it's added about $160,000 more than had we just left it in the Public Treasurer's Fund. And so it's been a good thing for us. As of the end of May, the net earnings was at 1.95% or 1.96%, so 196 basis points. It's almost 80 basis points higher than what the PTF fund, the Public Treasurer's Fund, is providing. So that just gives you a little background of what we're doing as far as investing the funds. We're just presenting to you to ask for your ratification of our investment policy with a resolution tonight. And I'm open to any questions.
Thank you, Wendell. Any questions for Wendell on the investment policy?
I don't have.
Go ahead, Diane. Sorry. I was just saying, besides all those acronyms he was using, repo, how do you like that? Believe it or not, I know what that means. It doesn't mean picking up cars either.
Oh, I don't have any questions, Wendell. You were very thorough, and we really appreciate that presentation. I'm ready to make a motion, if that's okay.
Please.
I would move to adopt the resolution approving the Murray City investment policy.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
There you go.
Thank you, Rosalba. Okay, Jennifer.
Ms. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Cox,
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. Hales.
Aye. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Wendell. We appreciate that. Great job. The final business item, consider an ordinance amending fees relating to animal control services within the city, enacting section 6.08.045 of the Murray City Municipal Code to adopt Salt Lake County's animal control fees, and amending section 6.08.070, hold on to your seats, 6.08.080, 6.08.085, 6.08.100, 6.1, 6.010, 6.160.20, 6.16.030, and 6.220.030 of the city code. Chief Burnett, and I'm thinking whoever motions this, Frank used to say, I'm assuming Jill would agree, that we can go off those numbers I just read.
Could you repeat him? I'm not sure I understood.
Really? Yeah, I was waiting for you to say that. Chief?
Yeah, this is with Salt Lake County assuming our animal control services July 1st. They've asked that we adopt their fee schedule so that we will be in line with with the county and the other cities they service. So this would be what this ordinance will do, is put our fees, our animal control fees, in line with theirs and adopt their fee service or schedule.
All right. Thanks, Chief Burnett. Any questions for the chief?
I just wanted to ask if, I assume it's on the county website. Will we post it on our website as well for residents to find?
I would assume, Jan?
So I know the chief's not the IT guy, maybe the wrong question. But
I would
sorry,
assume
chief.
that it would be, but I guess chief or mayor or whoever knows.
I'm sure we can make it happen, or it'll
Just
be
make it.
in the code, but one way or another, I'm sure we can get it out there for the citizens to see.
Awesome. Just to make it accessible, since residents don't tend to keep track of who we partner with for what different services. But thanks for answering all the questions last time for this committee of the whole for this.
Yeah, that was great. Okay. Now, Kat, I'm assuming I thought you were going to make a motion there.
I quickly muted. I can make a motion though. I will move to adopt the ordinance amending fees relating to animal control services within the city, enacting all of the codes mentioned previously.
Oh, you're good. All right. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Ms. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Cox,
Aye.
Ms. Dominguez,
Aye.
Ms. Turner,
Aye.
Mr. House.
Aye. Thank you, Jennifer, for a great night. You did awesome. Thank you. Mayor, for your report.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple of things really briefly. Our new Murray e-newsletter, the first edition was sent out this afternoon. It's an opportunity for us to provide timely updates each month on city services and programs, things that are going on. I hope you've all received it. Anyone that's interested, if you're interested, that's okay too. But if anyone that's interested in receiving the newsletter can visit our website and sign up under How Do I ... So we're trying to grow the database of email addresses, so that's just another way to reach out to the citizens. Secondly, I've worked with Chief Burnett to publish a letter in response to the many questions that we've received about our police policies, in line with the questions that were discussed earlier in the committee of the whole. The letter is now available on our website on a link from the front page. So citizens that are interested in getting that information can get it there too. You can direct them there when there are questions. It was also included in our newsletter that went out today and on other social media outlets. And finally, the library is planning what they're calling a soft opening on Monday, June 22nd. A limited number of patrons will be allowed to schedule appointments to use computers. They can call the library to schedule an appointment time to use the computers. Interestingly enough, the libraries were taken out of the version 4.6 of the color-coded guidelines and just put in with regular retail establishments. So the requirements for reopening the library have softened a little bit, and our director, Kim Fong, is monitoring that very closely and working towards a reopening plan for the library over the next weeks. And that's all I have this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Any questions for the mayor?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Well, what a great day. As far as I'm concerned, we had a great RDA, great committee of the whole, and a great council. So thank you, everyone, for your participation. And without further ado, we are adjourned.